That's why when I talk to you about coaches like this who are not putting kids in right positions to win, I'm coming from a place of experience. You go home and you look at the mirror and you go, what is he asking me exactly? When you ask him a question, he can't answer you. Because this guy is so in love with his system, his way of doing things, he looks at the players as a widget. Welcome back, National Football Show. It's your boy Big Sills here. Please hit the like button. Every time I see things like this, man, this is why I talk to you the way I do sometimes. Don't let opportunities slip through your fingers. Sap just tweeted at me at Dan Sileo Show because we were talking about Tony Dungy coaching me. He allowed the legend to be formed and gave me structure and purpose in life. Sap just texted me and said he would have done the same for you. You know this, brother. You know, he and I don't see eye to eye in a lot of things sometimes. But out of the blue, you know, we had Rich McKay a couple weeks ago say that they misused me 100%. And this is Jonathan Gannon stuff, folks. Don't let him destroy Jordan Davis, Jacoby Dean, Hassan Reddick. Don't let him destroy those guys. Because a shitty coordinator is a nightmare. Trust me. You go home at night, you look in the mirror, and you start crying. Because of the hard, do you know it took me 14 years to get to the NFL with bitty football, high school football, college football, and within 18 months, my NFL career was destroyed. I didn't help it. But I got to the shittiest environment you could ever have imagined. Coordinator didn't know what he was doing. The D-line coach was horrible. That's why when Sap sends me that and says, Sills, if you had Dungy, you'd have a gold jacket. Don't be me. That's why when I see a guy like Jonathan Gannon and someone goes, Sills, it's one. No, it's an attitude. It's inspiring you. It's putting you in a position to win. Man, to hear both Coach Dungy and Sap say, would have been a whole different world for you, Sills, is so not cool. It's like Xander talking to me the other day. It's so not cool, but true. And it doesn't come from a place of being mean. They're not coming from a place of being mean. They just can't believe it. I got Warren Sapp and Tony Dungy saying the same thing. I got Xander Krause saying the same thing. That's a trend. That's why when I talk to you about coaches like this who are not putting kids in right positions to win, I'm coming from a place of experience. You go home and you look at the mirror and you go, what is he asking me exactly? When you ask him a question, he can't answer you. Because this guy is so in love with his system, his way of doing things, he looks at the players as a widget. He looks at you as a widget. Jacoby Dean gets 3 reps. Jim Johnson's not having that. They would have found out if that kid could work or not. Dude, you can have bad coaches around. Hey, get this. You can overcome shitty coaches in college because you're just so good. Not in the NFL. You got bad coaches, man. It's glaring. Let me walk it back. I don't know bad coaches and experienced coaches at that level. Does that make sense? That's how I see it. By the way, top of the hour, we'll take a look at week 2 of the NFL. Sills, your shirt is inside out. Did you know that? Yes, I did. I do that on purpose sometimes, my friend. Yes. Great observation. You're hired. Gannon won't be here next year. He'll be either a head coach. That's scary. Or out of a job. We just got one more season here with this BS. I believe that too. I think they'll move on from him. Either way, they'll move on from him. Okay? They'll move on from him. All right, let's move on to this topic here. Barrett Brooks, 4:30 Eastern time. What NFC East team do you think is the biggest threat to the Eagles in the division? Giants? By the way, I think the Giants are going to be 2-0. I buried the lead a little bit because I also have scores here that I'm going to predict. But I think they're going to be 2-0 after this weekend. And there's a little juice to them. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is fixed because I don't think he can fix him. But their O-line looks better. They're run blocking better. They're playing better defense. Okay? They are. They're playing better defense. I thought the special teams were really good. So I think the Giants look improved. Not better, but improved. They scored 17 points a game last year. You know, I can't get a pulse on Washington yet. Detroit's going to give me more of a pulse on Washington. Dallas, I think they're dead. Now, if Cooper Rush does something incredible against Cincinnati this weekend, I think they're 6.5 or 7.5 point underdogs in that game. I think at home, too, to the Bengals. I mean, I don't know. I think that team is in a whole lot of trouble. And I'll say this even to you, too. I really didn't think Dak Prescott, prior to him getting hurt, I didn't think he was really playing all that hot himself. The Cowboys didn't look very good to me prior to the guy getting hurt. Okay? Washington. Miles has to continue to improve. You know what, Manster? I think Miles has to continue to be consistent. Does that mean, Tony says Washington will beat Detroit. If you think otherwise, I think Detroit is a good football team. I think they're much improved. I do. East Camden says Dallas. The Commanders almost lost to Jacksonville. We almost lost to the Lions. Literally anything can happen in this division, says Anthony. So far, you're not wrong. I heard Wentz is out because he got a hangnail. Way to go, Eagle, man. Even though the Commies struggled with the Jags on the worst team, one of the worst teams in the NFL. And that worst team in the NFL last year beat the Colts. And Doug Peterson coaches them. I don't think the Jags are horrible. They're just not. Watch this. I don't think they're horrible. I just don't think they're very good. Tony says Wentz elite quarterback play. 4 TDs and 300 yards. Those are elite numbers. He's not elite, though. Look at Jesse. The Eagles is our biggest threat. Our own undoing. That's a great take. It was only week 1. Relax. Nobody's upset. It's a question. Jags beat Buffalo last year. That's a damn true statement. If the Cowboys beat the Bengals, what does that say about Burrow? Nothing. It says that they didn't fix their O-line. He was annihilated last week, too. If 17 carries a year or a game for Jalen Hurts, and I'm saying Jalen won't make the season, you keep getting Burrow sacked the way you're getting like you did in week 1, he won't make the season either. Let's be fair to that, too. Burrow keeps getting knocked around like that, it'll be a very short career. Cincinnati can't defend him. They can't protect him. Cincinnati, since they drafted Joe Burrow, he's had a knee surgery. He's had off-season surgery. He has been knocked around and the most sacked player in the league. You got to protect him. Why don't you think Cincinnati can protect him? Because they're cheap. even with the amount of money they spend in the O-line. You got to do better. Should have made the deal for Trent Williams. You want to get an elite quarterback? Get Trent Williams. You had a shot at him. Washington was dangling him out there for everybody. Did you actually think Washington wanted to send him into the NFC with some team like that? No way. Look at Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck had a short career because he played with reckless abandon, and the Colts couldn't protect him. Absolutely. Absolutely, man. Andrew Luck is not in the NFL today because of the amount of punishment he took in Indianapolis. That's a fact, for sure. I don't want Hurts getting sacked like Joe. So happy he's got wheels. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, GT. Those 17 carries might as well have been sacks. Don't you get it? GT. Burrow was sacked maybe 5 times. Took less punishment than what Jalen did. Those 17 carries, what, you think they just kind of like pillow tackled him? They hit him like a back. And some of those were late. He took more punishment than what Joe Burrow did. With the way that he plays the game. You could be sacked 5 times in a game and you're a standard backup quarterback, drop back kid, and get sacked 3-4 times. You're Jalen Hurts and get sacked none, but you run 17 times? What's the difference? Okay, not all 17. What's the difference then? What's the difference between Burrow's punishment, Herbert's punishment, or Hurts' punishment? Hurts' is almost self-inflicted because he has to. I don't want my quarterback getting hit. This is the war of attrition. Okay? This is war of attrition. GT, I'm not saying about moving chains. I'm talking about punishment that your guy takes. There's no difference from a guy getting sacked 5 times or 3 times than a guy getting sacked 17 or a guy running the ball 17 times. You're both taking extreme punishment in the same process. There's no difference. Hurts moves the chains. Burrow gets you to Super Bowls. Burrow gets you to AFC championship wins, national championships. Jalen, and again, GT, not to go down that road again because we're in season now. He's got every opportunity. So me banging on him and talking about the past is irrelevant. The only thing he has in front of him right now is a 1-game season, and it's the Minnesota Vikings. Okay? Will he move the chains against the Vikings? We shall find out. Green Man says our D will show when we need them. God, I hate defenses like that, Green Man. Show up when you want to. What great defense do you remember that shows up when they want to? You know, I was talking to you about Warren Sapp, and I'm talking to Sapp here in between our breaks here. That 2002 Buck team didn't show up when it felt like it. They played lights-out defense every single Sunday. That Ravens defense didn't take weekends off. They showed up every single weekend. Personally, for me, I think the biggest threat to the Eagles is the Washington Commanders. I do. Because Wentz is going to have a big day against the Eagles. Why do I say that? Because your defensive coordinator is not aggressive. Every single person watching this show today knows this. How do you rattle Wentz? Pressure. Front 4 pressure. Blitzes. Moving him around. Your coordinator in 19 games hasn't done that and refuses for whatever reason to do that. If that guy doesn't do that on Monday night against the Vikings, they'll put 45 points up on the Eagles. He sits back and plays in that soft coverage and that soft zone in the middle of the defense for the Eagles. Justin Jefferson will have 225 yards receiving. You got to pressure Wentz. This guy doesn't. He don't believe in it. He just doesn't believe in it. I have not seen in 19 games where he's put together a game plan that made sense on when to blitz, when not to blitz, when to bring twist stunts, when to have run stunts. He has not shown me in 19 ball games. This is not a Lions deal, friends. This is more of a characteristic. As Seth will tell you, this guy's stripes ain't changing. I don't give a shit if you have Reggie White out there. The only difference that it would be like Belichick having Tom Brady. Reggie's going to get to the passer. Whether Jonathan Gannon's the D coordinator or whether Jonathan Swift is the defensive coordinator, Reggie's getting to the passer. Okay? Reggie's getting there. Who's your D coordinator? Jonathan Swift. Oh, okay. Does it really matter? No. Not with 92 out there. No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. You get to Wentz with pressure. Every single team that's pressured Wentz, like when the Titans did it last year, man, that guy wet himself so bad in that game that it was unwatchable at times because you were so embarrassed on how he wet himself. And then they did the same thing to him in Jacksonville. Little bit in the second half of that Raider game, the second to the last game of the regular season last year. He wet the bed too. But you got to pressure him. If Gannon doesn't pressure Carson Wentz will throw for 354 yards against the Eagles in week 3. Absolutely. Because last year, he played well against good teams. And those teams didn't pressure him. You know why? They couldn't, because Jonathan Taylor was running crazy. Jonathan Taylor and that offensive attack they had, the kid had 1,810 yards. You got to keep an eyeball on his ass. That's what made Wentz have such good statistical numbers a year ago. It's because Taylor had great numbers. As great as numbers that Wentz had, Taylor's were better. 1,810 he had. And Wentz threw for 3,600 yards, 27 touchdowns and 7 picks because of the dude behind him. But when they started pressuring Wentz and the teams that knew it, especially down the stretch run last year in the second half of the year, that's how you get to his ass. That's why Irsay was so aggravated that he just didn't throw the ball in the stands because he likes that hero ball stuff, which you guys are so deemed, and it's right. Dome says that Wentz is a bum. Wentz didn't have bum numbers last year. You're wrong, man. And he owns every passing record, single season-wise, in your franchise's history. So a bum is your number one guy. What's that say about the quarterback position in Philly over the last 35, 45 years? If a bum owns all your records, what does that say about the position in Philadelphia? You never maximize the passing game outside of the 2004 season. The only year, really, that Philadelphia ever really maximized the passing game was 2004, when Owens was going nuts. Maybe a little bit. They didn't have a 1,000-yard receiver in the Super Bowl season, except for the tight end. Those are all facts, my friends. The Eagles have been a dominant running attack. The most dominant player that you've had since 2000 is probably Brian Westbrook. You know why? Westbrook lasted more than 1 year because T.O. really only lasted 1 year. Brian Westbrook's been your most potent offensive football player since 2000. I can't think of another one. Deshaun Jackson was great, but not like that guy. 1,400 yards, 70 catches, nothing like that. He was your most explosive player. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Jeremy Maclin. Now, AJ may be this guy, and it may last longer. T.O. lasted 1 year. I wouldn't consider that a career in Philly. I'm not putting his banner up or his number up at the link just because he had an iconic season. What is he, Roger Maris? Okay. And by the way, too, Brian, I'm not dumping on Deshaun Jackson. I'm just saying Westbrook's probably your most. Yeah, but as great as Shady was too, man, Westbrook was better. Westbrook was better than Hurts. Sorry, I know he caught the most important touchdown in the history of the franchise, but he ain't Brian Westbrook, man. Come on now. Okay, Foles, one moment. I'm talking about a career, dude. There's a reason you hang that guy's number up. The reason he's in the Eagle Hall of Fame. Brian Westbrook, okay? I mean, and now there could be a shot here. So you guys keep saying to me that Wentz sucks. All right, well, he's your single-season passing leader. Gary goes, our best offensive player was a running back. Yeah, but he did more than that too, Gary. You know that full well. Okay, you know that. Hey, and as much as you loved all those guys, Joe Horn and Isaac Bruce with Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk was the guy. Marshall Faulk, that offense went through Marshall Faulk, man, that Rams team. Emmett, that went through Emmett, that Dallas dynasty, went through Emmett. And that old line, right? Hurts 0. I bet you that number by the end of the year won't be what that is. Last year, he threw 7 picks. Your boy threw 16. We'll see after Monday, my friend. Live. We'll see. You know what? He's got to throw it in the air, too. You got to get the ball in the air. That team was deadly. Westbrook was our best running back, and McNabb was our best quarterback in history. Yes. Yes. And McNabb was the most pettiest player in Eagle history. I want to look at week 2 of the NFL a little bit more as we get into week number 2 of the NFL. And also, too, how I would attack the Vikings offense and how I would attack the Vikings defense. Barrett Brooks is also in hour number 2, 4:30 Eastern. Keep it here. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.